In this video, we're going to cover the offset tool, which is also a great and useful tool. And it's a tool that we're actually going to be using to demonstrate some of the stuff for the homework. So this is a pretty important one. I've created a series of extruded shapes here that I'm going to use as an example. So let me go ahead and open up. We'll start with the rectangle here. Let me go ahead and, or the box, I should say. Go ahead and open that up. And you'll notice that near my push-pull, right below it, I've got follow me, and then under that, I've got offset. Follow me we'll discuss sometime later. So offset is the tool that looks basically like an arrow, expanding a circle. So you go ahead and click on that tool, and you'll notice that the only reason this is working is because I've got the shape already open. The group is open, I should say. And what it's doing is it's referencing all of the lines around the edges here. Offset works very differently in 3D than it does in 2D. If any of you are aware of 2D drafting programs, you'll know that typically offset is off of one line. It can be shapes as well, but here it's primarily shapes or faces. So the simplest explanation of the way this works is I can just click on one face, and I can either offset inside or outside of it. For our purposes, I'm going to go inside. And it works just like some of the other tools where I've got my measurement down here. So as I pull it into the shape, into the face, I can actually type in a direct measurement. So I'm going to type 5 feet, enter. Now you'll see I've offset it really deep in here. So let's say I decide I don't like the 5 feet. Let's take it back to 2 feet, enter. Let's do an apple Z here instead. So I just undid what I did. Because I noticed that 5 feet was a little extreme. So I'm going to click in again with my offset tool, and I'm bringing it in, and I'm going to type in 1 foot, enter. Okay, that's a little cleaner. So now I'm going to go to my push-pull tool, and I can push-pull this space up or down, escape, or this space up or down. So the nice thing about this, as I push this, I'm going to go in here so I can really see what's going on. And I'm going to go in here, and I think this is probably going to be the first time we've used the push-pull tool for this exact exercise, but I'm going to push this all the way down, and as I bring it, and I'm not holding down on my left click, and we're going to get into the whole push-pull thing in a little bit, but once I see that I've clicked it onto that face on the other side, and you see how it's kind of like a little wonky as I move, that's because there's two faces competing for visibility: the underside face of that other shape and the face that I'm seeing on the top. So if I click again, I've now offset that into itself, and I've created this void. So I'm going to go ahead and click to close that. This works with any shape that's flat. So if I open this up, as I start to move around, offset is not going to work here on the side of this, because the side of this is a curved. It looks like it's curved, kind of a face, and I'm not defining specifically what face I'm looking at. It will work on the top face. So if I click here and start to drag that in, I can do the exact same thing. So I can click here, clicked once to start, once to stop, and now I'm going to click on my push-pull tool, and I'm going to click once to start, and I'm going to drag that all the way down, and I'm going to wait till I've got my hand actually physically off the mouse right now, because I want it to be clear that I'm not holding down on the left click. It's one of the easiest things for people to mistakenly do while they're push-pulling is they actually feel like they're physically pushing or they're physically pulling the item, and you're not. You're telling it where to start, and you're telling it where to stop. So once I'm going to put my hand back on the mouse, and once I move to where I can see that I've got it on that face, I'm going to click again, and then I'm going to click out of that. Now what I can also do is I can open this up. I'm just using a generic polygon here. I can go to my offset tool, and I can click once to start that and once to stop, and I'm going to bring it in this case I'm going to go 8 inches, and I can keep going. 8, 8, click again, 8, and I can start push-pulling this stuff down now to create kind of a step pattern. So I can bring this all the way down to, let's bring it all the way down and through again. So I want to look and really see what I'm doing. So I'm using my mouse to orbit so that I can look and see what I'm doing inside. And I'm going to click that to bring it down. Now I can click this and just drag it down, and I'm going to do this kind of arbitrarily. So I'm just going to click, drag this down, click, and drag this down, click like that. And I am actually creating some sort of a stepped three-dimensional shape. Go ahead and click out of this one. I'm going to do the opposite on this side. I'm going to open this one up, and I'm going to offset that face. So I'm going to offset this face, and this one I'm just going to do 3, 3, 3, 3. You'll notice as I get a little tight, it starts to get a little messy in this corner. Notice how close I want to get? I'm getting really close because I want to see exactly what's happening there. It's a little messy in that corner because I'm starting to get to a point where the more I offset, if I really drag it in, I'm really getting a confused shape now because there's not very much room for it to go. It can't really go in on itself anymore. So I'm going to escape that, and I'm going to clean these little pieces up by selecting them and deleting them before I do anything else. So I'm going to select and delete. Select these faces, or these lines, excuse me, delete those, and select that one and delete that one. Now with this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to push-pull this up. So you can see how you can start to get kind of some rudimentary shapes that might, as you get a little bit more refined, become something like the base of a column, or any other kind of architectural element like that. I can even offset with this face here. Again, notice I can't offset on these faces because these are curved faces, but I can offset this top face. And this one's tougher because as I go in, you see in these corners where it doesn't know where to bring itself anymore, it starts to turn in on itself. So I don't have as much of an option here to bring it. I can't bring it all the way in because it's going to go really nuts. So all I can really do is pull it in a few inches before it starts to turn inside out on itself. But I can still get that, bring it down. And this is kind of like if you're just doing a quick massing model and you just want to see what this would look like, you can kind of get your generic walls out of just using the offset tool. And we're going to explore that in some videos to come. But there's two real schools of thought in terms of how to make a model. And some people will use the offset. They'll kind of just do a big footprint and then offset inwards and create all of their walls at once. I don't like doing this because what happens now is I've basically got one big shape that I can't edit. I can't move these walls as easily as I could if I was making separate little walls. So that's going to be the basis of the homework for this week. So just keep that in mind. Another thing to notice is that you can offset on any of these straight faces. So I can open this up and I can offset like this inwards on itself, and then I can select this face and bring it in and offset again. And I can push-pull this stuff out if I want. So I can start to create, more complexity in that regard. What I cannot do, or what I will get into trouble with, and you'll see this as you work, is I cannot offset this and then push-pull this face inwards without starting to get in the way of this other stuff. Notice that what I've done here is I've really I'm pulling beyond the face of this face. So this face that I'm starting to bring in is starting to interfere with this stuff that I've already offset inside, and that's when it starts to get really messy and really confusing. So you need to kind of plan ahead before you do this, and this is why I ultimately suggest using multiple pieces as opposed to one big piece to create all of your different shapes. But that's kind of the offset tool in a nutshell. We'll get into it more as we work practically, but I would say, play with it a little bit, get comfortable and see how it works, and we'll be good to go for the next video.